All right, truth fears no scrutiny, and if you're going to have a news outlet or a news show or a news channel on YouTube or some other social media outlet, you better be damn sure you're telling the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, and let's say you thought you were telling the truth, and then somebody catches you on that or checks you on that, then it's your job, it's your responsibility, it's your obligation to the general public to come out and say, you know what, you're absolutely right, I was wrong about that. Now we're going to go over Dom Lucre here. If you don't know who Dom Lucre is, this guy is very, very popular on some social media outlets, namely X, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But this all centers around what Joe Biden just did in commuting the sentences of 37 of 40 death row inmates. And I mean, commute the sentences. He did not let these people out of jail. They're not roaming free in the general public. They're not set free out in the streets of America where they can do whatever they want to. But that's what some people like Dom Lucre are saying. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to give you some examples in a second. But even CNN, Dom, I'm not against you. This isn't a personal attack against you. But we've got to make some honest critiques of people who claim to be in our own camp. And it's kind of hard because people take this personally, but hey, truth fears no scrutiny. So even CNN, the counterfeit news network, got this right. President Joe Biden's announcement that he's taking 37 people off of federal death row resulted in praise from some families and deep disappointment from others. The 37 inmates impacted by the decision, whose crimes include murders tied to drug trafficking and the killing of prison guards and other inmates, will instead serve life sentences. So their sentences are commuted. They are not pardoned, although Dom Lucre says differently. And I just want to show you before I start playing some of this, Dom Lucre, and I'm following him and he follows me, but he has 1.5 million followers on the Twitter/X platform, and nearly every thing that he posts on this platform goes viral. 1.9 million views. He just uploaded this 2 hours ago about the North Pole NORAD Santa tracker. 74,000 views already. This right here, just from 12 hours ago, 77,000 views. This 1.1 million views, 224,000 views. So you can see 851,000 views from something that was just posted 21 hours ago. 9.1 million views. He posted this grab off of Saturday Night Live dealing with Tom Hanks. 9.1 million views, 2.2 million views. So you can see Dom Lucre is very popular and has a wide following and gets a lot of viewership from the X platform. And now he's on YouTube saying things like this.
Okay, narrative breakers. Florida sheriff.
This video is unavailable. You know what though? Oh, he took it down. He took it down. You know what? Let me show you something. It actually looks like he took it down because he was getting called out, and when people were calling him out saying that, hey, he commuted them to life sentences, he was just posting AI generated, see, you can't even see it now. He was just posting AI generated responses like they were not released. I hear you, friend. It's frustrating when truth gets buried under all the noise. Well, he created some noise, and I'm going to show you the noise that he created because I managed to get the URL and copy it off before he deleted the video. Check this out.
Okay, narrative breakers. Florida sheriff exposed Joe Biden for releasing very violent criminals. I'm talking about some of the absolute worst people in our American society. I'm so thankful that someone
releasing very violent criminals, and he put up in the screen right here, Biden commutes the sentences of 37 federal death row prisoners, not releases them, commutes the sentences of
American society. I'm so thankful that someone has exposed this. We are actually at danger. The fact that these people are on the streets walking with us.
They're not on
the double hockey stick.
They're not on the streets walking with us. This is just not true. It's demonstrably not true.
Is really going on.
I can hear how mad you are, and I want to read in part your Facebook.
And then he plays this snippet from Forbes Breaking News, where this woman right here interviews a Florida sheriff. Now, we've done many, many videos on Florida sheriffs. We just recently did one on the Here's the Deal channel. That's my police accountability channel, where the Jacksonville, Florida police, a ponytail cop, a female cop, pulled a guy over for running a stop sign. The guy was a legal carrier of firearms. He had a firearm in his belt. She called him out of the car, tried to pull it out of his belt, and then shot him in the leg. We see so many instances where Florida cops freak out about the presence of a firearm. As a matter of fact, it's not legal for you to walk out in public open carry in an open carry fashion with your firearm unless you're going to or from camping, fishing, and hunting. And they're very serious about that. Florida is one of the most anti-gun states in the union, outside of like New York or Massachusetts or California. But they are anti-gun. They are anti-Second Amendment. They are anti-freedom of speech. And this lady is interviewing somebody who's got criticism against Biden, but the person she's interviewing is a thin blue line tyrant. There's the irony for you.
Post in a little bit, but would you be less mad, do you think, or would you understand it more if he commuted all 40 people sitting on federal death row?
I believe in the death penalty. So I by no means would I ever be happy with anybody, or not happy. I would ever be, cheerful that somebody didn't get the sentence they deserved. But it totally contradicts what he says. Does the guy even know what he's saying? Think about that for a second. In one sentence, I don't believe in the death penalty. I want to perform. Why didn't you do legislation the 4 years you were there, or the 40 years that you were in politics to eliminate the death penalty? No, you didn't. You chose to swipe a pen and commute a certain amount of people. Not every.
Same thing also applies to Donald Trump. He did not eliminate the death penalty either.
Everybody, there's still 3 people on there. They're sentenced. So if you truly believed in what you say and do, then you would have commuted everybody, and I could respect you more for that, because that's your authority to do so. But the switcheroo is just, it makes no sense what this guy says when he puts it out there.
So in case you guys don't know, 37 people, 37 including 2 monsters that murdered their entire family, were released thanks to Joe Biden. He pardoned these people.
He said it again. Now, I don't know what Dom's got going on here. I don't know if he's not paying attention. I don't know if he didn't actually read the articles. I don't know if he's not aware of what commutation is, when somebody gets their sentence commuted as opposed to getting an outright pardon. But I'm not going to assume the worst. The bottom line is he's wrong. He's spreading false information.
Criminals, animals, monsters, anything that's wrong.
And he continues to say it. It's not like we're misunderstanding him in any way.
And any bad word you can think to describe a human being, and I say the word human being lightly, Joe Biden freedom. And I know a lot of people ready to tune.
He didn't. It's just a lie against Joe Biden. Joe Biden looks bad enough, but Joe Biden did not free 37 hardened, dangerous criminals on death row. And stay tuned, because we're going to talk about how it's kind of detrimental to have a death row. It's detrimental to the American taxpayer for one simple reason.
Because we in an era where Donald Trump is getting ready to get sworn in. Yeah, I know it. But we have to understand that we now have violent criminals on the streets now, thanks to Biden. These are the same.
It's not true.
People that tried to send Donald Trump to jail for absolutely nothing. And they are allowing criminals to walk the streets with us.
It sure looks like Dom Lucre is not the breaker of narratives, but the weaver of narratives, because this is a narrative that is absolutely patently false. And he's also involving himself in the left versus right paradigm lie, like, Donald Trump good, Joe Biden bad. How about they all be bad?
Joe Biden needs to be held accountable for this.
Sheriff, you penned really.
I'm going to just kind of fast forward to another interjection by Dom Lucre, just so you know he absolutely understands what he's saying.
No, these are the type of people that Joe Biden, President of the United States, thought were good enough citizens to be set back on the streets.
Said it again. These guys weren't set free. They are not going to be walking among us. They have been commuted to a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and took them off of death row, which is a benefit to the American people. It's a direct benefit to people in the states that are actually housing these prisoners. I'm going to show you why in a second.
America has reached such dangerous levels of parity that it's terrifying to step outside and call this reality anymore. It is. I almost refuse to accept that this is reality.
All right, so we're going to fast forward to this, and he breaks in again right here.
I couldn't be one of these people. It's time for me to leave my country. Stuff like this, it loses faith in the entire nation. I mean, really imagine you're a survivor of one of these absolute horrific criminals, and you get to know that your president released them back to the streets. What faith does that bring into the United States of America?
So he's trying to weave this narrative that just isn't so. And he keeps saying it. That's like the third or fourth time he said it. And then he says it at the close of his video right here.
What I'm saying is, to keep Joe Biden and Democrats accountable, it needs to happen.
How about Republicans? How about keeping Elon Musk and Doge and Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump and all the Republicans, the GOP, accountable? For some reason, people who weave and craft the left versus right narrative lie and want you to believe in that dog and pony show don't want to offer up the exact same amount of criticism for their party as they do. Damn dirty demon rat Democrats.
This video, it needs to happen, because we now have over 30 criminals on the street, 2 of which murdered an entire family.
That's not true. That's not true, Dom. That is absolutely not true at all. And I'll show you how it's actually a benefit to the people in the area that actually commuted the sentence of these people. Because if you look up how much does it cost to keep somebody on death row in the United States, it's 2.5, sometimes 5 to 10 times more than keeping a regular person behind bars who's not on death row. It depends on the state. Each death row inmate is approximately 1.12 million, and that's in 2015 dollars, more than the general population in order to take care of. It's an economic drain on that locality. And in at least one case, the implication of the increased expenditure is ironic, because when a local government bears the expense of trial, it must also raise the funds or reallocate them from other sources. So having a death row inmate in a certain locality in a certain state could drain resources that can go to actually help people. And now you're throwing that into the defense, the prosecution, housing this inmate for security purposes. It says it's significantly more than the cost of incarcerating a typical prisoner, making it considerably more expensive than a life sentence without parole due to the complex legal processes involved in death penalty cases. And if you look into it, Joe Biden actually did those states a favor by commuting those sentences, taking them from death row to commuting them to life in prison without the possibility of parole, at least on the economic standpoint, because at least sources aren't going to be drained to house that death row inmate. Death row sentenced prisoners in the U.S. typically spend more than a decade on death row prior to exoneration or execution. And some prisoners, get this, have been on death row for at least 20 years. As a matter of fact, I was doing some research, and the shortest time on death row was a guy named Joe Gonzalez. I think it was I can't remember what the state. I think it was the state of Texas. The shortest death row inmate was on death row for 252 days. A lot of times they stay in there for the average is well over a decade. In California, home to the nation's biggest death row population at 667, costs an extra $90,000 per inmate per year just to imprison them on death row. It's an additional expense that totals more than $63.3 extra million. And that's just according to a 2008 study by the Fair Administration of Justice. It's called the Commission on the Fair Administration of Justice. So why is the death penalty so expensive? Because of legal costs, mostly. Almost all people who face the death penalty can't afford their own attorney, so the state has to assign a public defender or a court-appointed lawyer to represent him. And the accepted practice is to assign 2 lawyers and then pay for the cost of the prosecution as well. And then security, because death row inmates generally have higher costs due to the need for additional security measures, specialized legal representation, and a lengthy appeals process. But the bottom line is, contrary to what Dom Lucre says, they are not released out into the open, and these people in these states who had death row inmates are not now walking among death row people who should be in prison. It's just not true, Dom. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the bell notification icon. Give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list or my website, highimpactflix.com, if you want to support the channel further. Grab a hard-hitting conversation starting design from the shirt store. You can put on a shirt, hoodie, mug, cell phone case, hat, pillowcase, whatever you want. Become a channel member, but more importantly, understand that we have freedom, we have rights. There is a left versus right political dog and pony show, and we got to stop playing their game or we will lose. I will see you in the next video.